ladies. This is a video mostly for you ladies because I don't really know how to do a male equivalent. Actually, I think maybe I do. We'll see. I want to talk about how to recognize on the spot if you're in for trouble with a guy. So in another video that I did, I talked about different types of guys. I used terms from the pickup arts world. About halfway through the video, I started to have sort of a realization of this is a topic that I should talk about. I want to talk about pickup artists. They're not artists. They don't paint pretty pictures. A pickup artist, 9 times out of 10, is basically a changed AFC. So there's two terms, AFC and PUA. And AFC stands for average frustrated chump, which is your typical nice guy finishing last. And then the PUA, the pickup artist, is the smooth talker, the guy who is good with girls, goes to bed with a lot of girls, etc. So I want to talk about these two, the relationship between the two, and what you should know. So first off, any girl that's been with, more than one guy that she lost her virginity with, and even then, girls, you get so used, you get into the mode of disqualifying guys, right? So if you're a girl, you dress up pretty, you're gonna start having guys coming up and coming on the approach like birds bouncing off of your glass window, right? They just start coming up. They try different lines, different cells. You can see them coming from a mile away. They walk like they're in a shampoo commercial. They come up to you. They lock eyes with you, and they do all these things. And that's one of the things I want to talk about, because if you're a girl and you've never read a single book on male pickup arts, it is some of the most valuable reading you can do. Not because it's going to teach you how to date and find a guy. It's going to teach you how to identify douchebags. Because there is such a thing as a covert douchebag. A covert douchebag is somebody who could not get laid, could not get girls, read some books, can do the choreography, with enough practice, can sell it, and can get a girl to go home with him. But that doesn't necessarily mean he's a keeper. It just means that he was able to get you to go home with him. So a couple of things that they teach in pickup arts, there's a number of things they talk about the approach. One of the ones that I think is one of the most important is the fact of the strategies that a PUA will use to get you to reveal whether or not you find him attractive. So overwhelmingly, that's the crux of pickup arts, is how to walk into a room, survey the women in the room, and then identify which women are attracted to you and which ones aren't. Because you immediately up your success rate if you know a girl's attracted to you before you ever even say a word, right? Guys that don't know this skill are the ones that end up bouncing off like birds on the glass. They come walking up and you're like, oh God, please no, right? That's not a pickup artist. You'll never deal with an unattractive man that has studied pickup arts, and you'll never have to worry about dealing with an unattractive man who just has no confidence to ever approach. Right? That's basically it. The unattractive men that you do have to deal with are the guys that just haven't learned how to recognize when a girl's attracted. So, how do they do this? How do they know you're attracted to them? It's one of the more interesting topics in dating and relationships. It's akin to like a mating ritual. So women put out signals of attraction. The term for them are indicators of interest, IOIs, right? Not to be confused with IoT, which is Internet of Things, which is all of these little smart gadgets coming out as of late, like smartwatches. But IOI, indicators of interest. These are little facial micro expressions, little nervous twitches, little nervous behaviors. When a handsome man walks into the room, think Game of Thrones. What's his face? The dude with the ponytail, right? Or the Mountain, or some of these guys who are devilishly attractive. Antonio Banderas, when those guys walk into the room, you notice them, and then whenever they catch you in that fierce, manly gaze, you get weird, you get goofy for this little split second, and that's the point where you emit your indicators of interest. It's an unconscious response. It's kind of an uncontrolled response, like a cough or a sneeze. Is not really something that you can consciously control when it happens. It is something that can be faked and emulated if you're a female pickup artist. But it also happens naturally. And so a man who's well developed, who knows women, knows how to look for these things. He knows how to be handsome for his body shape and style and for his face. He knows how to look good for himself, how to act good for himself, be attractive for himself. And then whenever he walks into the room, if he's well versed in indicators of interest, he's going to survey the room one at a time and identify the girls that are attracted to him, and then approach them. One of the ways to force an IOI, and this is critical, and listen, because this is the whole thing I'm trying to get across to you. How to tell if you're dealing with what this man's intentions are. One of the things taught in pickup arts is how to force an IOI out of you, where it doesn't just happen spontaneously or because you decided to, but because he put you in a position where you have to reveal that information to him. Most of the time, a very good time, and anyone who's well versed in pickup arts should know this, when you make eye contact with somebody, the normal reaction when you're in a room full of people and you're just kind of sitting there bored looking around at people, and all of a sudden there's somebody that makes eye contact with you, you panic. It's like, whoop, and you're like, oh, you look away. That's the normal reaction. But then forcing an indicator of interest means in that he's waiting for you to catch eyes with him, and he's got a plan. And that plan is to do something to prevent you from looking away, right? So he's going to catch you with something off guard, like, hello! Or, another common one is like make a face, like, or something silly, hey, just one of these guys, and you'll know them, like, we all know whenever, every girl I'm sure has memories of going to the nightclub, and there's always that one guy, like, and he's like, hey, like that guy. That's, what that's doing is that's forcing, you've now, unbeknownst to you, found yourself in an interaction with another human being that requires a response. So you didn't get there on purpose, but now you're in there, and now you have to respond. And in that moment of response, if you think the guy's silly or laughing or being funny, like a nightclub guy, hey, you're like, hey, right? You respond in kind. That means that he's appealing to you. And that's really about all the information that he can get from that. But if he's the guy that walks up and he's like, hello, and you're like, that's a very clear indicator that you're not interested in him. And now he knows. So forcing the indicator of interest is one of the first things taught in dating books by men, because first things first, you got to stop approaching women that are never going to talk to you and want nothing to do with you. You all know that type of man that won't get the hint, right? Men are terrible with getting hints. So it takes a little bit of education and being in the mindset of, rather than trying to, you know, tune into every single girl in the room for their hint channels and trying to discern all the different hints of every single girl. It's a lot faster and more efficient if you know just how to engage girls that you're interested in and see if they're interested, and if they're not, move on. And that's how they do it. There's other ways to do it, but I'm going to be running out of time. The eye contact is overwhelmingly one of the most common ways of getting an indicator of interest out of a girl. Just, she wasn't expecting to be caught in an interaction. You catch her off guard. She's not ready for it. She wasn't prepared for it. Now she's got to respond, and it's going to be a complete, honest response, 100% how you feel about this guy who has grabbed you into this interaction unexpectedly. It puts you in a very spontaneous, very honest position. You don't have time to formulate. It's like you've got to react like now, and it's going to be an honest reaction, right? Like the guy is like, "Hey!" You're like, "Oh!" Right? That's honest reaction. You know, the guy that's like, "Hey!" You're like, "Hey, hey!" That's also an honest reaction, and that means that, you know, you keyed in on his energy. He put some energy out there, and you put the same energy back out. So that means that there's a chemistry there, a connection. And so he's like, "Oh, okay, that chick likes me. Next time if I catch her at the bar, I'll go talk to her." Last thing I'll mention, and probably the most important, after having talked about all of this, he may just be a guy having fun, right? He may not be a pickup artist. I'm just saying that in pickup arts books, that's one of the first things taught to guys that cannot get girls. You know, for a guy who's naturally attractive, who's naturally fun, energetic, and attractive, you know, obviously he's not a douchebag that had to study pickup arts. Obviously he's just a great guy. However, you can always see these guys that have just read the book or are trying really hard, and it's through no real fault of their own, because they're trying to be a better date, and they buy a book and the book says do A, B, C, D, and E, and so he does A, B, C, D, and E, and it works. So it's like, oh, well, I must have been doing that wrong. And then lastly, there's the one class of guy who hates women, who wants to punish women, who wants to destroy women, and buys these books to be a better destroyer of women, because that's what makes them feel good and powerful. And those are the actual predators and the dangerous guys you need to look for and avoid. So that's it. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, comment, or share. You know what? If you're a girl and you've had this experience where you're just sitting there bored and you're looking around, and all of a sudden it's like, "Hello," you know, you catch eyes with a guy. I'm sure you have some standout moments. Please share these standout moments. I'd like to get some comments on this. You share some knowledge and you know, extend what's presented here. I'd love to hear it. So I look forward to hearing from you and reading some comments, and I'll see you on the next video.